Hello, everybody. Welcome to Celestic Intelligence podcast. My name is Amelie, and I am the founder and host of Celestic Intelligence. And today we're going to be talking about just the summary of the energy this year. So, I've talked about how I've named this year the year of refinement. And it's usually about this time of year that I start thinking, what is my next year going to be? And so a year ago, in November, I was definitely leaning towards a year of refinement. And so in my year, we're going to just kind of be talking a little bit about, I'm going to give a little bit of a summary for you guys. I don't have a lot of time, so it's only going to be about a 40-50 minute stream. But I did want to come on because I did miss on Tuesday. I was having a lot of migraine issues, and I was exhausted. So I didn't want that to interfere with the teachings and the the stream. Okay, so the that is kind of the brief welcome intro. I want to talk about some of the key themes that I've experienced because I think that this will resonate with a lot of the audience who does listen to this, who does pick up some of the information that I teach on. So a few things are identity fog, nervous system overwhelm, and a return to your sovereign self. So, this is a full picture of these things. So, I am a human design reflector. So, there's a lot of reflector codings that go into this. And earlier this year, I was developing I don't really want to call it a program, but it's still something that I am going to be moving forward. This year has been really difficult, and I think I've figured it out of why it's been so energetically difficult for me. And so we'll kind of touch base on that. And there's this spiritual intelligence that we're also layering into. Hi, Kristen. Welcome. Look, you got that crown. So we've got this spiritual intelligence also that we're going to be working in. Dinesh, hello. JR, welcome. Hi, guys. Eric Chang, welcome. I'm doing well. I'm here and I'm excited. So, why is identity fog or nervous system overwhelm or even what is sovereign self? Like, what is that and how do we connect with that? This really matters because we've just gone through a second eclipse. So last year we went through an eclipse cycle. This year we just went through another eclipse tunnel, you can say, which we're kind of in right now. And we're not going to be emerging from that until March or April of next year. So we're still in this eclipse cycle. And I think there's a lot of retrogrades going on too. And those energies definitely affect our biofield mechanisms. Let's we try one game. What game? What are you talking about? I'm talking about identity fog and nervous, just kind of a summary of my year. What game do you want to play, Dinesh? Let's go. Pla. What is Pla? Tell me what Pla is, because my son used that and I thought it was something he made up, but I guess it is a thing. So we're in the midst of this eclipse tunnel that last year it's kind of the same little mirror that we're going to be emerging from in March to April next year. We've also got a lot of identity shifts. We've also got some timeline accelerations going on as well. These things are happening and they're happening on a pretty grand scale. Some people are responding to it and some people are not, okay? So we'll talk also the identity fog of why do people feel foggy? Why do they feel confused? Why do they feel unfocused? Okay. There's almost this dissociative out of body experience that people are experiencing on an even bigger scale. And I have some hunches and theories of why that is happening. But we are experiencing that on, it's kind of a weird year for politics, for culture in general, with people kind of unsure about their own personal securities. Josiah, hello, hello, hello. So, this is not a complete collapse, okay? This is simply a recalibration that we're experiencing. This year has been a huge year of a lot of little mini collapses in my life. So, I left a job. I won a jackpot at a slot machine. My uncle got into a serious car accident and died. And so there's just a lot of different, I started a new job. I'm still kind of in the middle of writing and finishing my book. So there's just a lot of energy that I went through this year. And then recently, just with the season that we're in, with being the holidays and family time and everything like that, I've kind of even seen this bigger mirror emerge of, it wasn't even mine, but it felt very much like I've never really had social anxiety, like going to a store and just being really having a really high level of social anxiety. But the other day, I felt a really, oh, kindred angel, welcome. Love to have you. But I felt a very overwhelming feeling of social anxiety by going into a grocery store. And I normally don't feel that way. And all I wanted to do was go home and cry. And I'm like, this must be how many people feel right now. So I'm picking that up. I tried to spell your name. Oh, yeah. Amelie, Amelie. So we're experiencing these collapses in our lives, and a big part of that is because there's something new that is being born and emerging energetically, but then also in the physical realm. Okay? So it has to happen on the inside first, and then it happens on the outside. You cannot change the external and expect that to fix the internal, okay? So, just a really quick thing about what is identity fog, what is this phenomena, and how does it show up? So the feeling is this dazed feeling, fuzzy vision, disconnection. Maybe you have some migraine symptoms. Sometimes you may not even feel like your body is your own body, and you're not fully in your own self. Sometimes it's hard to form words and just speak on like the things that you want, because there is this identity shift disconnection that happens, like you're not connected with your own self. All right. A lot of what I've been, a big part of why I started Celestic Intelligence is because I have friends who were openly admitted schizophrenics. Okay. They hear voices in their heads. Now I don't hear voices in my heads in my head, but I can almost feel from their description of what's going on, what they're going through. Okay? It's a very hard thing because there's so much influence that's going on with that. Having schizophrenia is a very difficult thing. If you want to find out more about schizophrenia, from a therapeutic science medical professional, I highly recommend Jerry Marzinski. And I think his name is spelled, his last name is Marzin, Marzin, SKY, Jerry Marzinski. He does a phenomenal job of explaining his experience. He's been doing it, I think, for about 50 years now, of going into prisons, into the psych ward, and talking with prisoners who have schizophrenic conditions. All right. A big part of why I started this is because I observed one of my friends go through a very, very difficult schizophrenic situation. And it was once I saw him go through that and this year break it to where the voices aren't in there anymore, it gave me a even deeper understanding of what is schizophrenia, how do we resolve it. I am not a medical professional. However, the medical field openly admits that there is no real way to say that somebody has a brain chemical imbalance. All right. The science is not there. What I think, based on my own personal experience, because when I was in my 20s, I was diagnosed with a few things: borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, whatever they like, all of these things. And I definitely am not those no, those things now. Like, I don't take any medication. I take vitamin D. That's all I take right now. And they had me prescribed on like lithium and all kinds of weird, I don't even remember what they were. But I went through a period where I was diagnosed with this mental disorder, that my brain chemicals were off. And so I had to take these medications in order to feel right. None of them felt good. In fact, I stopped them immediately and just kind of went on my own crazy way. Fast forward to, about 20 years later, now I can see what it was nervous system overwhelm. So when you're in a nervous system overwhelm, there is this mechanism that we do to like distance ourselves so that we can play something that's safe, have an identity that is safe instead of the identity that we would want to be, that our soul is calling us to be. All right. So with that identity fog, and we'll get into the nervous system in a bit, we're looking at this protection of our prefrontal cortex by going into the survival mode. And that is most of the reason of why you might not be able to think clearly. Maybe your thoughts are foggy. Maybe you that even happened to me today. I just had like blurry vision. And it hasn't happened to me before, but just blurry vision, a little bit of confusion, and my heart wasn't elevated or anything like that. But, I'm just observing my physical, okay, what's going on physically, what's going on mentally. I wasn't stressed. There wasn't anything. It was almost like this, like aftershock of, some of the stress stuff that I have been going through. But it was a very peculiar situation to go through. So, we want to think clearly. We want to be able to speak properly. But sometimes in these identity fogs, when your identity is transitioning, especially, like right now, I'm going through a huge identity transition of being a mother of a dependent child to being the mother of an independent child, meaning they're in their teenage years and now they're stepping away from, like, he's gone for a week. And that is shifting my identity. What do I do with myself because, like, he's not present there? That is an identity shift that we don't often think about, and we don't think about how difficult that might be. Pog Whisperer, I have ADHD. I also suffer from macrocephalus. Wow, that must be really hard. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So sometimes you cannot think clearly in these identity fog cycles, especially when there's a transition. You'll feel like you don't know what to do. So imagine like going through a divorce or even going through a marriage, going through parenthood, going through like being a mother for the first time. It's terrifying. And so in that too, like your first child, there's an identity shift that is happening as well. And so we can kind of get into these identity fog scenarios that will leave us a little bit of daze. We don't know how to feel about it. We don't know how to embrace that new role. So, the next thing that we kind of brushed on is this nervous system perspective. We really want to be in that nervous system perspective. And I think we should be looking at the nervous system first instead of trying to medicate with all of these pills that have tons of terrible side effects. We should be looking at, am I feeling safe first and foremost? If no, then what is making me feel unsafe? And really starting there and being really honest about that. I think above emotional intelligence, I think above anything else, really checking in with, do I feel safe? Do I have a place to live? Do I have water? Do I have food? Am I able to have good sleep? Like, these are some basic fundamental things that we need in order to function properly. All right. Once you can check in with those, then you can say, okay, my nervous system is calibrated appropriately now. So the fog can come from this sympathetic exhaustion. Like if you're exhausted emotionally, mentally, you're trying to survive, you're trying to make things happen, and I am not above this. This happens to me all the time. Like I'm constantly like battling these old survival mechanisms that are just so habitual that it's hard for me to kind of get out of that. So you can have this sympathetic exhaustion, and in that, it overrides your parasympathetic responses, creating this fog. Because the circuitry, the circuitry is if this PFC, the prefrontal cortex, is turned off, your survival brain is turned on. And vice versa. If this is turned off, this is turned on. And we want to be in our higher mind. This is where emotional regulation comes from. This is where problem solving, clear problem solving comes from here. Okay. In our nervous system, first, when we're looking at that, we are also deeply processing. We are also looking at how deep processing shuts down when we are in the sympathetic response. Okay? We're not going to be able to figure out how to make things happen. And if you are and you're in your parasympathetic or you're in your sympathetic, meaning you're in your survival mode, it's likely a fight response. So I was moving my RV last week, and unfortunately, I think I ran out of gas is what really happened, but I have no idea. I talked to a mechanic. Run out of gas, but immediately I'm just thinking, how am I going to take care of this situation? How am I going to get this thing moved? And so I had a plan in my head of like how things were, but instead of panicking and shutting down, my response was to take action. So even though that might sound like a parasympathetic response, it can also be a fight response. Fight your way through it. Fight your way through it. Now, let's hope that that was very reasonable what I was doing. But yeah, we need to be looking at that, because if you are sitting in a survival exhaustion, you're not going to be able to clearly figure out how to solve problems. The fog also is your body's way, and I'm talking about brain fog, right? It's your body's way of kind of shutting down so that your body can have a chance to like restore any energy that it has, that it's like we can't use up all of our energy stores. So it's just like low power battery mode, and that's where the fogginess comes from. All right. So if your body and your system is saying, I need you to sleep, and you're fighting that and you continue to fight that, like let's say your body's like, I want you to take a nap. And you're like, no, if I don't take a nap, I need to vacuum the house, wash the dishes, get dinner going, whatever it is. I need to go do these things before I can even give myself an opportunity to lay down. Your body's going to shut down. Okay? It's going to say, you can't continue doing that. I need to rest. And your body, that's the rest and digest. I also include repair and regenerate. That's your body's chance to absorb the nutrients that you've been eating in your foods. It's the chance for your body to absorb the water that you've been drinking. Okay? You have to be in that rest and digest mode. If you're in survival mode, you're not getting those valuable nutrients, and your brain's going to be even suffering more. All right. When we are looking at this foggy, collapsy period, it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not necessarily a collapse as much as it is a way for your body to reboot, especially if you're letting go of these old patterns. Now, earlier this year, I accepted a contract to be the midwife of a new order. And in accepting that contract, I did not think about how much that would affect my person, my physical being, my mental being. I didn't think about how much impact that would have. Because if I'm going to be stepping into this new role, this new identity, the old one has to go away, has to die. It doesn't necessarily go away forever. It's always there, but as you shift into these new identities and these new roles, there is a painful process that you go through. All right? So when we look at how do we get from that old identity into that new identity and do it in a clean way, the cleanest way that you can, we are looking at stimulating the vagus nerve, which I've been sleeping. I got this massage ball. I think it's by Hyperice. I don't have it next to me. But it's this huge massage ball, and it's vibrating. It has 3 settings. And I put it on my neck, and then on my spine back here, just down the polyvagal, or down the vagal nerve, which sits from here all the way down to about the middle of your back. And I just let it, I think it's like 7 minutes. And I've been sleeping phenomenally because it's stimulating that vagus nerve. And so my sleep has improved greatly from that. Not a medical professional, I'm just saying, like, from my experience, those are the positive benefits that I've seen, or at least one of them. And sleep is very important. I actually slept for almost 12 hours. I think it was last week, which was fantastic. I don't know the last time I've slept that long. My body definitely needed it. As we're bridging, we also want to, like, the popular saying is mind over matter. Mind over matter, mind over matter. And so your emotions kind of get tossed to the side, and then the logic is just like, let's go with the most logical, practical solution in this situation. But there are instances when I think that matter over the mind is important. We need to feel those feelings. It's our body is just telling us what is going on in the field. Biofield, inside, spiritually, mentally. You're getting all of this data from your emotions. And so those emotions are very important. Why am I feeling confused today? Why am I feeling angry right now? Why am I feeling surprised by this interaction that I'm having, even though it's happened maybe before? Mike's in the house. Aw, Kindred Angel. Love that you're here. All right. So most leaders try to mind over matter their way out of these fogs, and it's really difficult. It really is a time for you to kind of just shut down and let those old things go, and to just let this new identity kind of move in. All right. So regulating your system is important as part of the phase of bridging this new identity and kind of shifting into the new world that we're moving into. Regulating is very, very important before you integrate that in. Okay? Now, I'm a human design reflector. That's not necessarily everybody else. It's 1% of the population, maybe a little over 1%. But our role is amplifying the fog. So when I feel foggy or I feel that social anxiety, sometimes I have to stop, and we all can do this. Stop and ask, is this feeling really my feeling? Is this social anxiety really mine? Is this sadness, does it really belong to me? And really kind of parsing out, this is my responsibility, this is what I need to work on, but this other stuff is just these cues that I'm getting from my energetic biofield energy body. I have some really cool topics that I want to talk about, but today is not the day for that. So we all collectively, even though we may not know it, process everything together, okay? So we process the collective energy, we process what's in our current environment. It might be a little stronger. And we have our own shifts that we're working on as well. So we've got these layers that we're experiencing. With reflectors having that energy and absorbing the energy around us, we can get tired, we can get blurry, we can have situations of disassociation during transition periods as well. All right. And we are all like, identity fog is just a cleansing cycle for us. And in my year, that is what I'm saying. As I'm reflecting back on my year of refinement, I'm just saying, like, oh, okay, I took on a huge responsibility, and now I'm feeling some of the shifting effects after that. But we can all look at identity fog as a cleansing cycle for each of us. All right. Now, there's the spiritual layer in all of this is that identity collapse, or the other side of it is identity upgrade. Okay. So I'm moving from being a mother that has all this dependence on me from my children to being a little less dependent, right? That's an identity upgrade, right? It's not an identity collapse, it's an identity upgrade. And if we look at it from that perspective, then thank you guys so much for the likes, by the way. You guys are so awesome. I don't even ask for them. I'm really terrible about asking for them, but I'm really grateful for you guys. I love coming on here and chatting with you guys and talking about energy. And I hope it's landing for you guys. Obviously it is, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for, I don't even ask for it, and you guys just showed the love. So thank you so much. Okay, so the identity collapse can have you feeling that definitely that fogginess. But once you start to embrace that upgrade of this new version, so now, I've wrote out basically my whole, I'm moving into this new role of motherhood, of being the mother of older children. Okay. And a lot of people my age may be experiencing that, maybe a little older, not too much lesser. But the identity shift is real, okay? The other part of this spiritual layer is we have tons of archetypes that kind of play out in our lives. And the old archetypes may kind of die and wither away before the new ones start forming. So you kind of have this. I've been talking about liminal spaces a lot this year: grief, death, liminal, the in between life and death, kind of this phoenix energy. And part of that is because I named it the year of refinement. Now, next year, I named it the year of connection. So I'm hoping that includes a lot of travel, includes a lot of meeting, maybe even meeting people on my podcast, and having that experience in real life of being able to hang out. But the old archetypes that I have are kind of going away, and it's introducing. So once you like let go of those old ones, new things start to come in. Now, in my human design chart, I've read it plenty of times. And being the midwife of a new order is a huge, energetic, intense responsibility that I said yes to. All right. So think about the things that you have asked to come into your life. All right. Maybe it's relieving debt. Maybe it's increasing your friend circle. Maybe it's leaving a romantic partnership. All right. Whatever the thing is, whatever the thing that you're longing for, that you're asking for is, think about that. Maybe you asked for it 6 months ago. Reflect on what that was that you asked for, and think about all the things that shifted in your life and how much closer you are to that goal. All right. I have a friend, which is why I got to leave in about 15 minutes, who has been on dating apps for the last 3 years, and finally, in the last couple months, I think, finally has a connection, finally has something to say for it. All right. So, in that acceptance of the midwife of this new order, it was a huge, intense, energetic responsibility for me. I had to burn away the old me who would respond in old ways because I'm bringing in a new order, not the old one, and trying to paste myself into it. No, my identity is completely shifting. The person I was a year ago, the person I was 6 months ago is no longer, it's within me, but it's not there anymore. Congratulations to your friend. Yeah, I'm very happy for him. It took him a long, long time. Lots of interesting online dating stuff. Some funny stories. Okay. So, with accepting the new energetic responsibility, even a couple years ago, I remember, and these, I don't even think about it until I'm like going through it, right? I don't think about it. I was on the beach in Hawaii, and we were writing things in the beach in the so the waves can come and take it away. So we were like, oh yeah, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of that. I want to shift my life, blah blah blah. And now I think about how much that has impacted my life from the times that I did that until now, and all the things that happened after that in order to bring this newness in. So I've gone through the gambit. What do they call, like, the gladiator runs? That's what I've been through energetically. It's crazy. But this is angelic and ancestral support that is happening. Like, there's the angelic is there. I can feel them. I can feel my ancestry there. They're all watching and supporting me as I'm going through this timeline reorientation. I'm reorienting my timeline into timelines that I don't even fit in anymore. It's like you're continue leveling up. I often ask myself, how can you have gone through all the things that you've gone through without like having a mental snap, without mentally cracking and breaking apart? Okay. And it's because the things that I've asked for are the things that I have, like, I was meant to do. Sorry, my roommate's here. I have about 10-ish minutes. Okay, so if you too are going through this, if you too are accepting these shifts, I just want to say you are not breaking, all right? you if you're not like going into these crazy dissociative, if you're able to manage it well, you're not breaking. You're merely just shedding these old versions of yourself. So do it gently. Just think of being that snake that's letting go of, maybe you're a bird and you're molting. Whatever it is, whatever the shedding is, whatever the falling away of this old version of yourself, just know you're not breaking, that you are shedding these older versions of yourself. And that's where you're removing these spiritual layers, okay? And coming into this new identity, which I think tons of people are going through right now, all right? I'm not the only one. I'm just here, a voice in the wilderness, calling to the people that are going to hear what I'm saying, and it's going to land in their life. All right. Now, since we're not breaking and we're not fracturing, we can experience a little bit of overwhelm from being in our collective digital overwhelm. We can feel that energy around us. It gives this false identity of fracturing, okay? Now, what is the answer? What is the answer to the to not having identity fractures, meaning that you're not disassociating and then letting things come in and take over, is getting to a place where you're in connection with your sovereign self. Okay, this is the antidote to a lot of the what troubles the world right now. Okay, so let's talk about some somatic signs that you're upgrading that you can, check in with yourself. So this might include posture shifts. You might feel aches and pains in your body, okay? Because your posture is literally shifting. Your identity is shifting, your posture is going to shift too. You might feel a little contorted sometimes. You might feel it just somatically in your body. You might feel some contortion. There might be odd aches and pains, maybe migraines come, just things like that. Just be really aware of what's going on in my body and how is this message coming through. You might experience a weird fatigue. Like for me, like lately, I've been having trouble taking like a deep breath, which have I have not had that happen to me that I can remember. But like I'm just noticing these, like I can't get that full deep breath that I want to take, and so sometimes it takes me a little bit. That's why I breathe out sometimes, because the energy is like, it's crazy. But you might get a weird fatigue at specific times. Maybe it's during, maybe you wake up at 3 a.m., or maybe, during the day you get a specific spot of fatigue. Or because I'm getting old. Nah, I mean, maybe, but I don't think that age, like you can override that stuff. Some other somatic signs. So your eyes are directly related to your nervous system. Okay, it's part of the brain system. So your eyes might start to feel. At least it's part of your brain system. I shouldn't say the nervous system. It's part of your brain system. So if your eyes are feeling fatigued or not focusing properly, that might be another sign that you might be upgrading. Okay, these are all upgrades. You might experience temporary disconnection. Maybe like where normally you're able to pay attention, now you're just kind of like, now you're in a different metaverse altogether. You might have some increased sensitivity to sound or to light that you didn't have before. And strong boundaries start emerging effortlessly, okay? Things that you once tolerated may not be something that when you're in the middle of an upgrade that you're no longer able to tolerate. Okay? I had to cut off, I think, 4 relationships this year. Relationships based in nostalgia and history, like a long history, nostalgia, whatever. I had to cut off like at least 4 different relationships. And I'm being called to take a break from social media as well. Okay. These are all biological markers of identity shifts, upgrades, and these are not just a pathological thing, meaning this is not something that you're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go, to the chiropractor. I'm going to go to this doctor and see if they can give me muscle relaxers. Like these are not going to solve it. Okay? It literally is like an emotional and spiritual journey that you've got to go through and address, like, okay, what's going on? So my back has been maybe part of it is posture, but a lot of it is like moving. I can feel the energy sitting in my body and moving through that. And it's been, sometimes it's painful, but I've been able to manage it now. But I can feel like my whole body is going through an upgrade. Okay. All right. 53. I think I can get through this pretty quickly. Okay, so I have one more thing. It's just 4 steps. And this is how to move through identity fog without losing yourself, okay? So, step one is to stop thinking and allow the buffering, all right? When your brain is buffering, just let it go. Don't try to stop it. Just let it do like a software update. Do a software update mode for your brain, okay? You don't have to think. Let's stop the mind over matter. Let's stop the mindset stuff. You hear it all the time. Mindset, 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 mindset. Like, let's just turn that off and let the brain do its little software upgrade that it's got to do. Like, it just needs to have a little bit of a break. Let it do its thing. And then see if you can fall into a rest, so that you can get that rest, digest, repair, and regenerate flowing and going in your body. Next, drop it into your body. This might be a warm blanket and then maybe some cold on your wrists. I love this time of year because I like to have a cold room and then I like to be just like snuggled up in blankets. Really concentrate. We're dropping into the body. We want to have a very in touch experience with our body, and part of that is having this slow, unforced breath. Don't try to force your breathing, just slow, slow, natural breathing, and just let it do its thing. Now, if you need to anchor a little bit, maybe you're feeling a little flighty, touch your chest or touch your legs, just touch parts of your body and really like anchor in and ground into your body and just drop it in there, okay? We're moving through identity fog without losing ourselves here. The next thing, so this is while you're in identity fog. The next thing is, don't do any decision making while you're in your fog, okay? Just say it. I'd love to make a decision right now. Unfortunately, I'm just not unable to right now, okay? This means like if you do tarot, we're not doing any tarot. No external influences. Pull back into, pull your aura, your auric field back into yourself. Stop trying to threat detect. Like we're just pulling back into ourselves. Like let's think of closing all the tabs and maybe even shutting down the computer, our brain. We're removing all of those external influences and we're just letting ourselves be in ourselves. Okay? Now, once you're able to silence and shut down all of that, you can start asking yourselves as you re enter into your own sovereignty. All right? You can ask, what truth is emerging right now? Okay, you're just asking your own sovereign self because you have all the answers that you need inside. Okay, you don't need gurus. You don't need like all these mentors. You don't need to go to the psychics. Like, things are fun, but you are built with amazing technology already installed inside of yourself that you don't have all this need for the external influence. In fact, that is just a, like, I like to call it a hologram. Your outer world is a hologram of your inner world. Okay. Um, as you re-enter, we've removed we've cleared out all these external influences. Our next thing that we're going to want to ask is what identity is dying here. Really think about what identity is dying. I had to do that over the last week. I was like, oh my gosh, all these things just pop up, pop up, pop up. I feel like I've just been nonstop all year of trying to like manage this stuff. And yesterday I finally pulled back and said, okay, what is going on here? And I did do a little tarot read, and it was pretty interesting to see what the energy was. But a big part of it is like you're going through an identity shift. That was the message. You're having an identity shift. Okay. So I had to pull back and say, oh, I'm having an identity shift. Which part of me is dying? Okay. And then who am I becoming? And then I even thought back of why would these shifts happen? And was like, oh, because I asked for a huge energy upgrade, a huge energetic responsibility. And so now that's where this is all coming from and kind of playing out. Okay. All right. Well, it's 5:59 here. I told you guys I would have a short one today. And I think this is episode number 49. And I was going to go to 52, but we'll see. I might stop at 50. So next Tuesday, maybe even December 2nd, I don't know, we might do. That would be what, 51 episodes? I'll do one next week, so it'll be episode 50, and I might stop there. I'm really being called to kind of pull back as I'm like moving through all this energy and restart in January. And it will be an upgraded area. So I'll have my area that I'll be doing my live streams in my office. So instead of being in the living room or in my bedroom, it'll be in the office. And I'm hoping to have like is it OBS? I think it's OBS. To where I can share things on the screens with you guys and we can talk about those. So it will be a little bit more interactive and hopefully have an upgrade in computer technology that I can have guests on as well. Because my computer is from like 2011, you guys. Talk about old. My computer is old. Okay. All right. Well, I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Today is episode number 49, just kind of a look back at all of the stuff that we've talked about this year. We're going to be moving into a year of connection, at least in my life. I don't know what kind of year you guys have. If you guys name your years, go ahead and pop it in the chat. I'd love to hear what that is, and maybe I'll do a post on it. But I hope that you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you before Thanksgiving. Yes, I will too. I'll chat with you later. All right, bye guys.